7:06 now at KMAS. I'm happy to have in studio here, if I can figure out which microphone it is. It's just so bizarre to have people live in studio. Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty. Kevin, how you doing?
Great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm well. It's good to see you. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. Happy Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be a beautiful weekend.
Yes, indeed.
A lot going on.
There is a lot going on. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
And hanging out here. We were talking just a little bit ago on just things going on around the county. I got to ask you here, now that you're here, there's a big conversation going on online and in the paper about the Taylor Shellfish possible expansion. How does all this work, and how's the county commissioners involved in this?
Yeah, great question. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of conversation happening about the proposed expansion in Oakland Bay, and definitely hearing from folks in the community about it. And you know, really what we're doing is saying, hey, June 14th, there's a hearings examiner process to go through where the project will be reviewed, where public testimony will be, and the commission is really not involved in that.
Okay.
We're not the decision makers on a project like this. There are other permitters like the Army Corps of Engineers and Department of Natural Resources that that take precedence in those decision-making processes, and it ultimately ends up going to the county hearings examiner, who operates independent of the commission. And so just really encourage people to contact our planning department if they're interested in making public comment to the hearings examiner, and we'll see how that process plays out, and depending on which side of the project you fall on, whether you support it or oppose it, there are opportunities to appeal the decision at the hearings examiner. But we've had some conversations with just concerned citizens in the area, as well as Taylor Shellfish, and I think my takeaway from that is we all value the environment, and we know how beautiful and important our waterways are here in Mason County, and especially as people are getting out on the canal today to kick off shrimp season. We want to make sure that we're preserving that, but at the same time, we also know that Taylor has a really proven track record of being good environmental stewards, while also creating economic opportunity here in Mason County, as they're an international brand. And so, hopefully there's a way to go through this process that is fair to both parties, that prioritizes environmental stewardship and our water quality and scenery. And so we'll let the process play itself out and see what happens here in a couple of weeks.
Was just reporting on the Mason County Sheriff's Office. They were able to apprehend a suspect that they've been looking for. You were telling me, too, that there's another new partnership that helps with the mental health side of all this.
Yeah, absolutely. So, front and center for a lot of folks is, what are we doing, at the local and even at the state level to address the mental health crisis that our communities are facing, and the substance use and drug abuse crisis that our communities are facing. And what it does is it gives us an opportunity to be creative, and engage in partnerships that we might not have otherwise. And so this week, the commission took action to fund a law enforcement co-responder program in partnership with both the Sheriff's Office and Olympic Health and Recovery Services, which is already providing a number of behavioral health services in the county, in the jail, in our law enforcement assisted diversion program. So they're well versed in the county and the community. And so it marks about a $400,000 investment in a co-responder program, just to give deputies another tool, another resource. Their call volumes are through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
You see an incident like the one last night in Shorecrest when they're trying to pick up this Nathan Fouts, hold him accountable. That's a big response. But those calls don't stop coming into MaceCom. They still stack up, and a lot of those calls are people who are experiencing any level of behavioral health crisis. And so we do have a regional crisis response team that we share with Thurston County. What this program does is it gives us a more predictable, more stable, more reliable crisis response for our deputies in the field, so that they can focus on addressing some of the more violent offenders that are in our communities, and clean up our streets that way. So,
and you're not adding necessarily to the workload of the deputies on the field. These are additional folks that will be with them. So the deputies not only having their law enforcement hat, and then they have to put on a mental health hat, and I know that's always been a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we've tried to invest over the past several years to get additional training to our sheriff's deputies on how to de-escalation techniques and how to address these situations. But really we want to make sure that we're bringing the right tools to the right job. And our law enforcement, our deputies and Shelton PD do a fantastic job interacting with people in crisis. But we want to be able to make sure that we're supporting not only our law enforcement officers in those situations, but the people who are in need. And sometimes, most of the time, frankly, jail or law enforcement presence isn't the best avenue for people who are, having these crisis episodes. And so it's a great way to, get them dialed into the services that they need, get them back on track. If it is a severe crisis situation and they pose a grave danger to themselves or others, there's another process that we go through that's an involuntary commitment process. That involves the sheriff's office there, law enforcement there. It involves the hospital and these involuntary commitment facilities that are across the state. But we want to catch people further upstream. We don't want to see people going into these involuntary treatment centers unless they absolutely need to be there. And so, we're going to continue to kind of refine and fine tune, our behavioral health response here in the county. And so we're just really fortunate to have the ability to build partnerships like this. We're really grateful for the leadership at the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Sperling has been fantastic on this, as well as our partners at Olympic Health and Recovery. So we're excited to get this kicked off this summer.
Very cool. It's been a while since you've been in here. We caught up, I think, since March of 2020. So no, that's a long time to catch up on things. Let's switch gears a little bit. Forest Festival next weekend.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait.
What's your favorite part of Forest Festival?
Well, that parade is fantastic. I mean, it's just, I think we're coming up on 84 years or so, right? I mean,
something like that.
It's a long, long time, decades worth. It's a ton of tradition. Love that. And it sounds like you're going to have a pretty good fireworks show this year, too.
Yeah. Really excited. They're going to have, it's the folks that do kind of I think it's the Lake Union fireworks or something like that. And from what I'm hearing, it's going to be 5 times bigger than last year. And last year was pretty spectacular.
Is that because of inflation? So we're seeing...
Yeah. I mean, really, it's the same amount of fireworks, but we're just saying it's 5 times bigger.
Correct, yeah.
No, man, this is going to be huge, and it's going to be nonstop for, I think, 15 minutes or so, and I'm going to work on a pretty killer soundtrack so folks can listen in, and it'll try to match up as best I can, but it's not going to be, like the 1812 Overture.
Okay, that's what I was going to... So what do you think your go-to is going to be? What's your big finish song there?
The finish? Well, I'm not telling you the finish,
but
if you're going to start it off, I mean, so he says, the guy says he pushes the button, 15 seconds after he pushes the button, the first thing goes off. So I got to have a nice lead in, maybe a little, I'm thinking AC/DC, Thunder, I guess, from AC/DC, and then we'll move into maybe some Shania Twain. No, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm still working on it, but it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So, Kevin, I thank you for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. So go M's this weekend. Great homestand coming up. Be exciting.
Isn't that kind of your neck of the woods there, Philadelphia?
Well, I grew up watching the Pirates, and so it'll be fun. I'm actually we're heading up to the game tonight, so we'll get to see Mitch Keller and Andrew McCutcheon take on the Seattle Mariners. So it's exciting.
Good for you.
I think it'll be a great game. Fireworks there tonight too.
So fireworks tonight, and then Funko Pop tomorrow, and Little League Day on Sunday.
Yeah. So as your listeners are tuning into the game tonight, hopefully they won't hear me.
Well, that means you got to be right next to the microphones.
That's right. We got to be cheering.
Better than the fans in Oakland. If you were down there, people would hear you.
That's true.
Because you just yelled the whole time.
The Woo Birds. Yep.
Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty here this morning. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great weekend.
You too. Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day to you. More from KMAS on the way. Here's Cool and the Gang. It's 7:15 AM 1030 and FM 103.3. Cool.